So this isn't about to be one of my unproblematic videos in terms of difficulty it's going to cause my account. This is not going to be one of those videos where I'm like, oh, okay, all will be well. So I watched the Humanist Report, and they were talking about what's going on with the Young Turks. And I don't know if you are aware of them. I was aware of them in the early years. I used to watch them a lot as an alternative to what I considered to be corporate media, just so that I felt so that at first, so I felt like I was getting a more well-rounded picture. I watched them, I watched a number of other people. And the time came when I began to realize, I mean, I always knew, here's what you always, what you can recognize. You can always recognize, okay, I was picking up narcissistic vibes off of Chang. And that's fine, because what I understand about media and corporations is that the best way to succeed is to be a narcissist or a sociopath or a psychopath. Like, very, very, you can be extremely, extremely successful in those realms if that's what your issue is. And to the point that now these industries are move in such a way that it is difficult to get ahead unless unless you either are those things or unless you are willing to display those qualities. So I never thought Chank was about anybody but Chank. So I was not surprised that the Young Turks began to take this turn. And neither was I terribly surprised by Anna Kasparian's devolution into, a Karen. While their ideas of how to progress as a society were based in Black liberation thoughtosophere, their motivations were personal and individual rather than communal. So when something bad happens to Anna, she's ready to flip her entire script on what her beliefs are. And when Chang starts to feel as if the progressive YouTube sphere is getting crowded, then it's time for him to move to his right. It's time for him to make nice with certain other groups and become corporate media himself. The problem that I have is that what the Humanist Report in talking about this fails to recognize, because what they then did was crown Sam Seder king of progressive thought if it's on YouTube, I'm assuming, or perhaps they mean altogether. I'm assuming they mean media, online media. As long as the progressive sphere is considered a white boy sandbox, y'all got problems. Because the truth is that just about everything about what will be good for the most amount of people going forward in the future is based in Black liberation thought. So you basically have a lot of people in the whole lefty progressive sphere getting rich off of ideas that are based in my culture. As long as they're not acting in collaboration with Black thinkers and academics, etc., you know that they're not going to get it right, because they're still trying to tear down the master's house using the master's tools. Hence the crowning of Sam Seder as the new lefty king by the Humanist Report. It's frustrating. It's frustrating because what we're looking at is, well, not frustrating. It can be educational. Because what we're watching is WSC. We're watching it function before our eyes. For instance, one of the things that I found fascinating was I've watched bits and pieces of a live that Hassan I think it's Hassan Piker did with Cenk Uygur, who is his uncle, which I did not know. So, and what was fascinating is Cenk is yelling and screaming and, big man, silver, silverback gorilla kind of behavior, right? I'm the big man here. And, and Hassan's just shrunk. Now, I've heard that man be full throated, full tilt, right into the wall wrong, especially when he starts trying to talk on black issues because he has no idea what he's doing. I've heard him, but he's done it full throated. And animated. But what we saw happened between Cenk and Hassan was an example of what happens once folks get offline and they're dealing with that uncle, or they're dealing with that auntie, or they're dealing with that cousin or that brother or whatever. And suddenly their tone, they're less dynamic. They are less charismatic. They are less of a leader in their own space. They're less willing to speak up in opposition. Can't even speak up in opposition to your family member. How are we supposed to trust you to lead a revolution? Stop. Stop. Seriously. Enough with crowning, other YT boys as kings of progression and leftiness. It's just, have you not learned yet? This is not working.